Welcome back to Africa This Morning. We are now on Table Talk, and today we are hosting Winnie. Kamuya is Executive Director of IRC, ready to share her inspirational story as a woman in leadership, especially when it comes to ensuring that you can set an agenda for your life. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Beryl.
Give us a brief history of what IRC is and who Winnie is, even as we sit here having a conversation about your intention to change the way we see ourselves as leaders, and especially as women.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Winnie Kamuya is a second born of a humble home. My dad was an accountant, my mom was a tailor. It's interesting how my life has really changed, because when I was brought up as a second born in the family, I was supposed to be the eldest sister. And you know, it is very, very interesting when you are an eldest sister, when you are already not brought up to understand that you're supposed to be like an eldest sister. So being a second born, I had the challenge of being the first sister in the family. And when I was growing up, I remember in class 7, when I failed my exam, that is before the 844 system came into place. I was in the last group. And when I failed that exam, my dad said, "You are going to repeat." For me, I did not understand his reasoning. And because my elder brother had passed so well, I was actually a bit bitter with my father. And I remember for the whole of that year, I was very upset with my father. And
what led to the pressure? Because I know the point you get to that particular moment, you've realized that whatever mark you have gotten is considered a failed mark. Maybe you can share with us what happened in that moment. What are some of the issues that had led to, maybe even influenced the performance that you had?
I think in my childhood, I'd never understood education and the meaning of education. And I remember when my father said, "You have to repeat," I was like, why? But I couldn't get a school for my Form 1. So my father was persistent that your brother has done so well, you need to do well as well. So what I did is I said, okay, I'll go back to school. I'll try to understand what my father is trying to explain to me. And it was so interesting, because for all that year, it is the time I realized, honestly, I have not understood what my father was telling me, what I had not done before. But that whole year, I put my effort, I focused, and that is one of the lessons that I've carried on today. Focus. I focused and I did so well. From that time, I took a vow to myself that I will never fail again in my life. And I remember when I was doing my Form 4, my father was like, "No, you don't have to study too much. It's too much. You have to go slow." I really did well, and that has helped me in my life. So when I am doing something, I will focus and focus to make sure that whatever I'm doing, I'm going to succeed.
Even as a woman leader, of course, there's a lot that happens. Even as we focus, even as you've vowed to yourself that you're never going to fail again. But life has its own challenges. Before you got to a point, you're the Executive Director of IRC. You went through your own challenges in life that led you to feel, maybe I need to rethink what I'm doing. Share with us that story.
Let me give you the story. It's like this. I'm doing my A-level. I finished my A-level. I was still that timid girl, because I'm a girl, okay? This is the mindset that we need to change with the girls. And I think it's also a mindset that as a parent, we also need to change. It's a narrative that we need to change for our children. Yes. So I have finished my Form 4, I have finished my Form 6, I have finished my university, and it's time to go out and do work, because I'm a trained teacher.
Be an adult.
Be an adult. Here you are. And I get married when I've just finished my university. I'm waiting to be sent to a school. And my husband gets a job out of Kenya. So I go to live in the Kingdom of Swaziland, in the South African region. And what is interesting is that when I reached there, they had what they call xenophobia. I'm sure living in Kenya, you cannot understand what that it means. But going out of Kenya, you get to know what is this xenophobia. So I reached there. They are saying they are not taking any more foreign teachers. So I sat for 1 year thinking, now what will I do? I'm a qualified teacher, but they're not going to take teachers. What will I do? So first I had to raise my child who had taken with me. He was 4 months by then. And after 1 year, I asked myself, how long am I going to sit and just be a mother? with my degree.
Yeah.
So I had to change the narrative again of my life. These are some of the challenges as a mother you're going to face.
When you're in that moment, before we get into the power mode that you jumped into, the moment you started to create change, in that moment when you're going through those questions that you're asking yourself, what brought you out before you decided I'm not going to sit with my degree?
I think one of the questions that you have for yourself is that, what am I supposed to be in this life? Am I supposed to only raise a child? I think the other factor that actually affected me is that I lost my mother at the age of 16. So I sat with this story that I must do something that my children and my children's children will remember about their mother, their grandmother. So I sat with me and I said, no, I lost my mother at 16. I really don't remember much about my mother. I need a story for my children to remember me. Yeah. So I think that moment also, there are those questions that I had about myself and what I really wanted for my life.
And at the point you decided that you're going to create change, what are some of the first steps that you took at that point?
I think one of the questions that you're going to ask yourself at that stage, and I think that is what I was facing, is that how are you going to create change and you don't know where you start? You're in a foreign country.
To make matters worse, you've already been told we are not taking teachers.
Yes, and you're in a foreign country, you don't even know where to start. And I think it was so interesting that now you've got to make friends. Friends in a strange country, and here you have a baby. How do you balance being a mother, making friends, looking for work? I think those are few challenges that I faced at that moment. But I think what I said to myself, that every person goes through a challenge. Every person must overcome some challenges in life for them to have a story or for them to move forward. And at this moment, I was already asking myself, now, this is me, this is my child. How will my future beyond here look like? What do I want from today henceforth? If I can't get a teaching job, what else can I do? And I think that is where I started saying there has to be some options. And actually what I did as my first options is I took back myself to school so that I would be able to get other opportunities. So I had to diversify for me to get openings. And I went back to school and I did IT. And I remember when I was doing IT, I was so excited because in university, I could not afford 1,200 to pay for a computer class in university. So here I am, I can afford to go for the course, and at the same time, I can afford a computer for myself. I was so excited about it. So I think that is part of the thing that maybe jump-started me first into starting looking at life differently. I'm learning new things, I'm meeting new people, I'm going to have new opportunities. So that jump-started me from a no beginning to a beginning.
Just refreshing your periphery and even looking at the horizon and creating a new image for yourself.
Yes.
Before we get deeper into the success of your initiative and your company and your venture, personal venture, I would want to pull some wisdom for women out there who are in a state of despair, because you are at a point where you decided to leave what was familiar to you, to go to a new country altogether. You chose to sacrifice for the sake of your family. You decided that you're going to go to a new place. You faced a lot of depression and even self-doubt when you're emerging into this new space. Share with many women out there when it comes to work-life balance. What does the balance look like? What are some of the sacrifices that we need to make to ensure that, one, we survive even as our family is thriving?
Yes. Okay. The one thing that you have to know is that the one person who is going to live with you for good is yourself. So how will you live with you for the rest of your life? Okay? So you are going to, first of all, love yourself and know that you're going to live with yourself for the rest of your life. Then you've got these new members who come into your life. You've got your children, you've got a husband, and you've got new responsibilities if it's work. How do you manage them? So you're going, first of all, to need to take good care of yourself, because they say that if you can't take good care of yourself, you cannot take care of the other people. So I do make sure that I am me first, and then I bring in the other members of the family. I'll take the children. I remember I've traveled with my children even during my work, and I would be at airports with a small child, 3 years. I'm going, because I want to live my dream as well, and at the same time I want to do what I really wanted to do.
There are moments that women have doubts in those points where they have to make tough choices. Do I travel with this child or leave the child with my extended relatives? And sometimes it can be a bit difficult for them. Maybe you can share with them a word that would be best for them to have even as they're journeying, because I know the most important person for them to have is their mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You are going to have a lot of confidence, first of all, in yourself. And you have to train. If you are going to travel, for example, with children, you have to train other people to come along with you if you can afford. If you cannot afford, you're going to train people who can stay with the children. If it's siblings, if it's not siblings, if you choose to go with relatives. Remember, I was out of the country. I couldn't go with anybody from my country. So I had to choose whether to leave the child with a housekeeper at home, with my husband, or I have to travel with the child. So what I did is sometimes when I didn't need, like when the child was a bit older, I would travel with them. When they were a bit smaller, I would leave them in the care of the housekeeper, a trusted elderly housekeeper, a trusted one. Because the good thing is when you're out there, there are those women who are a bit specialized in terms of taking care of children. So I would use that. Where I could travel with the child, I could travel with them. I ensured in my life that my children are going also to be part of my life. So if they are going to know what I do, they are going to come along with me. So I would go with them.
And you emerged at this point where you started the IRC. Share with us the first step that you took. You've already done your IT. You have the background of teaching. You have your degree. Your family is fledgling. You're in a foreign country, and IRC is in mind.
Okay, this is what happened. And it's very interesting because I'll tell you that myself, I didn't see myself in that position. You see, this is the other part that we don't see, especially for women. You don't see that ability in yourself.
To be
other
diverse
people
in skills.
Other people see you in that. So I was busy doing consultancy. Now I have my degree. Now I have my IT. So I was invited to do consultancy and a lot of training. But other people are observing and seeing that you have the potential, already a teacher. You can actually go out there and venture by yourself. What are you afraid of? And I remember one of my friends, and I always call him a co-director, he just walked in and he said, today you are going to do it. Whatever you are afraid, you are going to face it today.
And what were you afraid of, Winnie?
I think the part that you have never maybe ventured into business, you keep thinking, I can't do it. The banks don't loan the women. Where will I get my capital? Who will believe in me? I think those were the issues. Maybe
I'll fail, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll fail and everybody will laugh at me. Those were some of the issues.
How did you overcome them?
And he sat there and he said, you are going to print the material, we are going to market, you are going to do it. If you are able to do it, always when people call you, why are you not able to do it? And I remember what I did is, I just sat and I did it. And interestingly is that the first people also to help me were personal assistants. So they would take me and say, what is it you want? I said, I want an office. Where do I get? I need contacts. They would work with me. And I'm like, you are not afraid? They say, afraid of what? So I would work with them. They would go, they introduce me. I would sell, this is my product. This is what I do. And I would get response from that. And from there I learned, oh, I think this is manageable.
There's something possible in the horizon.
Yeah, where I was thinking I couldn't in terms of like managing and leading for a company, what I did is I interestingly I had like 5 women who are already managers, and they asked me, who is running your home? And I was like, okay, how is that relevant to what I'm going to do? They said, if you are able to manage your home, you are going to be able to manage an office. Use the same principle, but in a different setting.
That's a very beautiful way to put it, because right now IRC is a management consultancy, and maybe you can share with us, even as you move ahead into this zone, in a sense it is entrepreneurship for you as a woman in business. Maybe you can share with us, what are some of the pillars that you have adopted as a leader when it comes to ensuring that your enterprise thrives? One of them you've mentioned right now, mentors, those who stood positively with you. What are some of the other pillars?
Yeah. Okay, I have mentors. I do a lot of learning. That is one thing.
It never ends.
It never ends. I'm actually like having ebooks on my phone, audios,
audiobooks, yeah.
Audiobooks.
Yeah.
I tell you, I want to go for the next training if possible, because I want also to be the best, to be at least in that level where I can compete. And an interesting thing I didn't mention earlier is that I was competing in a male-dominated industry. It was not interesting because they're saying, what is the woman up to? And I was thinking to myself, will I be able to penetrate the market? So what I did, I said to myself, I'm a woman. I'm going to be proud about being a woman, and nothing is going to pull me back except I allow myself to be pulled back. So I used that as an advantage, and I stepped forward and I used that. I said, I'm the only woman in the industry, so I'm ready for the game. So I used to find myself, everybody would talk about who is that woman in that industry alone. I was the only one.
I love the fact that you've indicated that as a woman, you don't need to change yourself to succeed in a world that is male-dominated, and considering that management is very male-dominated, especially in Africa. You were supported by personal assistants to get a footing edgewise, and you have chosen to reward them by giving them an opportunity to be recognized through the Personal Assistance Award. Share with us how you've come up with that and how you intend for Africa to recognize those who are very key when it comes to excellence in business.
I'm excited about working with a personal assistant. I can tell you, I can go to any country within Africa without knowing anybody. I can see anybody through personal assistant. And I think that is where the motivation came from, because when I used to train them and they would ask me, why is it that we are not recognized?
Why did you feel that personal assistants were very key to the training of management?
Very key. Okay, let us look back at what we do on a day-to-day basis. You'll find that you need a personal assistant because, for example, if you are out of the office, who is going to tell that person that you are not in, you are coming in at this time? We might say that technology is taking over, but will technology actually tell the person who has come to your office that she's coming in the afternoon? Will technology say in the phone, for example, if you say...
The human touch.
Yeah. Is it going to say, oh, I'm sorry, she's in a meeting. She's going to be out in 30 minutes. I think that is the assumption we've taken. We still need the personal assistant, and coming from that and having interacted with them a lot, I felt that as a community, we need to give more recognition to personal assistants. And that is when we launched the Personal Assistant of the Year Award in 2007. We've held it from 2007 up, and this year we are holding the 2015 Personal Assistant. We've gone through, we've hosted it in various countries, in Tanzania, in Uganda, in Kenya. We've hosted it many times, in Malawi. This year we are hosting in Cape Town. Yes.
Share with us what outlook you have for IRC and also for yourself as a woman who is in leadership and who intends to keep growing and keep, flexing her wings wider all over the African continent. And also, I know the international scope is also included in your vision.
It's interesting because one of the things that we want to do, we empower, okay? We also do what we call self-renewal. I'm sure you know that renaissance means rebirth. So the name is drawn from rebirth. We are taking these people who are already in the system of working. We want to have them renew their skills every now and again. That is our goal in terms of management training. It's not just about what is in the books. What are the new things that are coming up? How do we transform you so that you fit in the society all the time? People in the workplace will always assume that I went to school in 1980, I'm still okay. I'm sorry, you are not. And when you look at the personal assistant, these are the people who are overworked, okay, underpaid, untrained, and they're supposed to be the most motivated group of...
They're the face of the organization, in a sense.
The interesting thing, and the research was done recently, is that they're the most motivated. They have the skills that any organization that needs to succeed must get those skills, because these people, they're exposed to all sorts of scenarios that they have to manage. These are people who are supposed to adapt quickly. The boss comes in with a tablet, he doesn't know how to use it, dumps it on your desk, and you have to know how to use it. Show me. She doesn't even know. She hasn't gone to any school. She has
Yeah.
no manual. She has none.
But
A
she'll
smartphone.
adjust and learn how to use it.
Yes, just to adjust quickly and do it for the boss. So how do we help them? So for us, we have to be at that level where we are also keeping up with the pace of the change in the world so that we can help these people also cope with that change. So what we do is, part of the training is we bring them to that footing. You are here. Like now we require them to be on Facebook, know how to use the social media, know how to interact, because again, you're not going to learn alone in Kenya. You're having other people from other countries. What do they have that you don't have that you can learn from them? So that is where we
Best
are.
practices from every
Yes.
country on the continent.
We share, and we share from within. I'm actually having, and this is very interesting because we have clientele throughout Africa, and I have connections out of Africa. They share with us things that we are all saying, oh, this is new, we didn't know this one. Then we bring it also to our training. So our purpose is to make sure that we enlighten them. We make sure they're at a foot where they can fit in the world, and they can fit that, they can feel that they are actually able to work and to be able to fit in the workplace.
Before we touch on the successes that you've achieved so far, because it is a significant initiative, let's touch on the challenges that you're facing even as you're pushing forward empowerment for the very key representatives in management, that is a personal assistant, and also for yourself as a manager of IRC.
Okay. The challenges we have, especially with the personal assistant, like I mentioned, they are the people who are least trained. So when it comes to this personal assistant of the year award, we have training and then the award. We mix both of them because we find that some of them, they have not even been trained like 3 years. So we have to train them so that even as somebody gets an award, they're happy about also the training, not just about the award. Because we are also going to be testing you to see that if you are a winner, are you going to be able to inspire other people? We want a winner who will be able to inspire, to mentor others. So the challenge we have is that here are bosses who are feeling, this is my personal assistant, I can't do without her, she can't go for the training. That's number one. So to get them for training. Number two, some bosses, they will not nominate them because this award is also a nomination from your boss. What does your boss think about you? Does he think you deserve the award? So that's another thing. So you find that the personal assistants are limited in terms of training, in terms of those nominations. And then as a personal, myself as a leader in an organization, I think we face the same kind of challenges in the workplace, the same challenges. If it's about working with people, managing people, and ensuring things are done on time. These
Financing
are the same
as well.
Yes.
When you're looking at the future, even as we touch on the successes that you've achieved, what can we hope from IRC, even as you touch on some of the successful moments that the company has had?
Just watch this space. You'll be surprised what will come up.
Okay, you've been in the business for 7 years. You've done a lot to empower those in the key sport of management who are personal assistants. And of course, you've given us a story that will inspire many to know that you don't need to stick to what is traditional. You need to diversify so that you can be able to understand how to manage the opportunities that are available in the world. Thank you so much for joining us, Winnie, giving us your story and giving women out there an opportunity to understand, regardless of the position that you're put in, regardless of where you find yourself in the world, even if the doors are shut, rethink your strategy. Get an opportunity to empower yourself, give yourself new challenges, new goals, change your horizon. Maybe you'll find that there's a gold man at the end of the rainbow. Thank you so much for joining us from the team and myself. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.